I'm Kanisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying here. The Art of Applying helps people from all over the world get into the world's best graduate schools and get money to pay for it. Today we have one of our fantastic clients. His name is Juan. Hi, good morning, Juan.
Hi, good morning, Kanisha.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. Juan, let's just start off with the great news. What great news are we celebrating today?
We're celebrating my admissions to Colombia's SIPA to do an MPA, a Master's in Public Administration.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you will be moving to New York City in just a few months. That's very, very exciting. And I'm really proud of you. And this is a next step in the journey of your life and your career. So let's talk about how we even got here. First, what even made you reach out for help with your graduate school applications?
So the first time I learned about the art of applying was 2 years ago in 2017. When I first decided to apply to graduate schools in the US, I knew I needed some help with the application process. And I came across your website and I was really struck by the profiles of the consultants that work with you. And that's what really got me motivated to look into the entire process with your team and also all the information you put out in the form of informational posts on the website. So that's how the ball got rolling, I guess.
Yes, fantastic. And you mentioned you knew you'd want information for applying to schools in the US. So tell us just a little bit about your personal background, your personal story, and what motivated you to apply to grad school in the first place?
So I am a first-generation Panamanian. Both of my parents emigrated to Panama, and I essentially got motivated to apply for the public policy programs in the US because I knew I wanted a program that could leverage my knowledge in the government sector in Panama City, but then also acquire more technical skills that I could then apply for the development of my country, which is where I see myself in the future. And that's, and also because my government gave me a scholarship to study for the master's program, and that would help me a lot in the cost of attending grad school in the US.
Fantastic. So you actually already had this very large scholarship from the Panamanian government, but what you actually needed was to get in. It reminds me of kind of like a golden ticket from Willy Wonka, where it's just like, oh yeah, like this is very exciting, but you want to use the golden ticket to go to the best school possible, right? Because you could have just gone to like, I think probably like a lower tier school in the US, but it's like, why waste that opportunity, right?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So, oh, that's so exciting. So when you first reached out to, one thing that they don't know out there is that you actually worked with us twice to apply. And the second time you were successful. So talk to us about the first time you reached out, when you reached out, and what you learned about that. And then the second time.
So the first time I reached out to the art of applying was in October 2017. And I decided to work with your team, and it was a really wonderful experience. But because of timing, I don't know if every applicant knows, but a lot of grad schools have their deadlines in December and in January, especially for public policy schools. And that gave me very little room to improve things that were not my essays. And that's essentially why I decided to apply a second time and keep working with your team, because I felt that on the first time I learned a lot, and your team really pushed me to think outside of the box in the terms of the application process and things that I should mention. So that's one of the reasons why I worked with you on the first place, and then move on another application cycle, I guess.
Yes, got it. So would you agree that the first time you worked with us, even though you had a great experience, the biggest issue was that you should have come earlier to work with us?
Correct. I absolutely advise anybody who wants to work with the art of applying to reach out as early as possible in your application process, because you do need time to improve any test scores you have, to take supplemental courses, to reach out for your recommenders, whoever is going to give you a recommendation, an academic recommendation, a professional recommendation, and to apply for scholarships. the Art of Applying provides an amazing platform for you to apply for assistantships and scholarships, but you do need a lot of time for that.
Yes, yes. And so, Juan, what would you say to the people that are like, oh, but I have to get the perfect GRE score or really strong GRE score, and then I'm going to work on that for like many, many months, maybe 6 months, and then I will worry about the essays and I'll reach out for help then. What would you say to those people?
I would say that the application, after going through it twice, is more than just a number on the GRE, because if you get a perfect score, my understanding is that if the other elements of your application are not balanced, your chances of being admitted are very dim, are minimal. And I would suggest you have to work on every single component of your application from a very early stage on your application process. And the Art of Applying has a really good, I don't know how much I can talk about this, but they have a really good calendar that you follow throughout the entire process. And I think that really helped me plan my time ahead of plan everything I needed to do.
No, and you're welcome to talk about that. That's fine. But yeah, so why don't you talk to us about what appealed to you about the Art of Applying versus maybe another company? I'm sure that there were maybe cheaper options or just different options. What made you be like, yes, the Art of Applying is the company that I want to work to get into my dream school?
One of the things I saw on the website where you describe the team members that are part of the Art of Applying is the diversity of the people working with you, Kenisha. That included people of color, that included minorities, like I am from Latin America, that included a lot of women, and that included also first generation US consultants going to school, to grad school themselves. And that to me felt really close to home, because none of my parents speak English, first of all, and second of all, none of them, and no one in my immediate family has ever studied in the US. And even though I went to an undergrad institution in Indiana, navigating the grad school application is a whole different process. It's really different from your undergrad application. And that I think it's also one of the reasons that on my first round, I waited so long to get help. Is because in a way I felt, I already did this. How different can it be to apply to grad school than applying to undergrad? And I was really wrong by that thinking. So I'm glad I found you guys.
I'm so glad you did too, Juan. I'm so glad you did. So as you know, and you experienced, all of our clients that work with us need to first have a breakthrough call so that we can make sure we understand what's going on in their application process, and what's not working, what is working, and to make sure we can help them. Why don't you just talk to everybody what the experience was like? What did you expect the call to be like? And what really was the breakthrough call like? I know it was a long time ago.
No, I expected my breakthrough call to be more about talking about the Art of Applying and about what you offered. But instead, it was about finding my own path. In a way, I felt that I was receiving coaching on how to do things, even though I was not a client yet of the Art of Applying. And I felt it helped me expose a lot of my background and really try to get a sense of why am I doing this? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one who was very nervous about applying to grad school and thinking, is this what I really want to do with my life? Do I want to leave my private sector job or my government sector job and be a student again? And I received a lot of positive questions during very difficult questions during my breakthrough call. And I felt confident that that was really the path I wanted to move forward with.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm so glad that you found even the breakthrough call valuable before we were even working together as like actual client and consulting team. Awesome. So what were you hoping about your application process? What was giving you the most trouble? What were you hoping we would help you with?
I was really having trouble weaving a positive, I guess, a coherent story of why should schools consider me as an admitted student. For a lot of people, I come from the private sector and then I moved to the government sector, and that's something I needed to really build a story around that. And I think the Art of Applying does an incredible job helping us tell stories about our professional life and our personal life and weave them together in a way that it makes a coherent application package. And that's something that was, I think, one of the most difficult components of my application. Um, and it went well.
Good, good. And so when you say it went well, talk to everybody just a little bit about the experience of being in the program. What parts you liked best?
So the Art of Applying provided a lot of resources for me to utilize during the entire application process. And I think one of them was the coaching sessions that we have for test preparation processes
Mm-hmm.
that really helped me preparing for the GRE test taking. Um, so I had a family loss when I was in the middle of my application process, and I received a lot of positive support from the Art of Applying. I actually received flowers at my house, and that felt really personal because my family loss was really big, and I had a lot of support. And at that point, I felt that this was not just a client business relation, but people who actually cared about my entire application process. At the same time, I received timing with a wellness coach
Mm-hmm.
who essentially helped me navigate my fears, helped me meditate, learn how to meditate, and that was really positive for me. Um, so those were some of the 3 or 4 most valuable components of working with the Art of Applying.
Wonderful. And I'm so sorry for your loss, Juan. Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's not uncommon for our clients to go through losses during the application
Yeah,
period. I think part of it is it's just a really long process.
yeah,
But it's not uncommon. I did. Me and you had a loss the same year, and yeah, and several people on our team. So we definitely, it's an important to us that our clients do understand that. We're not just like, great, let me put a note in his file, but like we care and send our condolences. And then you also mentioned that you really, I love that you called it a wellness coach. We call them the mindset coaches, but I love that idea of a wellness coach. But yeah, so you really enjoyed the sessions with the mindset coach and learning to meditate, and then also just the straight up coaching with your dedicated consultant. So that is fantastic. I love it. Juan, what would you say to maybe other people who have come from the private sector who feel nervous about being competitive for policy school? What would you say to them? How did we help you with that?
so essentially, you told me to really look into the reasons why I want to move into the public sector and the reasons why a public sector education might be really good for me. For other applicants, it might be combining a business degree with an MPP degree. And I think having your personal academic background, Kinesha, really helps applicants. And also a lot of the consultants that I work with have dual degrees. So that really helps people transition from the private sector to the public sector. Look into volunteer activities that you do, where you also showcase interest.
Mhm.
If you work with any non-government organization, multilateral organization, that also is a lot of the components that can affect if you want to apply to a public policy degree. And then you also navigate applicants with career options after that. But I don't know how much of that you want to talk about.
So we do. So that's interesting that you say that. We don't yet have any sort of
Yeah.
formal program around career coaching, but I have found that our clients, some of them return because once they're even in graduate school, because they're like, you know what, like you guys help me get in, can you help me get an internship? So we do. We actually have one of our clients, a Latino client who we helped him get into Harvard Business School and then Harvard Kennedy School with a full ride to policy school. And now he's back like, hey, it's my summer. I want to make the most of my summer. Can you help me? So it definitely happens. And of course, we've got this expertise on the team, all these consultants with their various professional backgrounds. And then just, it's a very similar journey. Not the same, but it's a similar journey, kind of landing and trying to figure out your career moves. Juan, what would you say to maybe other Latin Americans who are wondering if this can work for them?
So I would say to my fellow Latin Americans that working with the Art of Applying, you would feel like you're working with somebody that understands your background. Again, if a lot of you have never had a family member studied in the US or in North America for that matter, if nobody in your family speaks English, really the Art of Applying provides a platform for you to navigate those, I guess, vacancies in your application process. And at the same time, they provide a platform for you to get support. Because besides all the preparation process, it's normal to feel very nervous and anxious about the process. And at least in my case, I was surrounded by a lot of friends that understood what I was going through. But what happens if nobody in your direct environment understands how difficult it is to apply to grad school? You find that niche with the Art of Applying. A lot of encouragement and a lot of positive energy to keep working and to keep applying and to keep, I guess, pushing the ball to get everything in. That was really important as well. And I think that's what I would want my fellow Latin Americans to feel like, that this is actually a community. And you would have access to former The Art of Applying applicants. So you would be able to connect with people like me or with any other former, I guess, client that work with The Art of Applying. And that's really good. I think in that regard, I was actually connected with a Panamanian who had a connection with The Art of Applying. We met up for a coffee, and he really understood my needs, and he even pushed me to work with The Art of Applying. So I guess feel free to reach out to me if I can.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. And I'm so glad we were able to connect you to our other client from Panama, former client. And you mentioned that your parents, they don't speak English. And that's very, very common among our clients, that people's parents mostly speak the language of their home country. If you're open to it, I would love for you to say something in Spanish to any parents who are watching this video that are like, what is this? I've never heard of this type of service. What does this business do? And why is my son or daughter considering it? If you're open to it.
Yes, of course. Señores y señoras, aplicar a las escuelas de maestrías y los estudios después de licenciatura en Estados Unidos es un proceso súper complejo, súper difícil, y para mí navegarlo con la ayuda de The Art of Applying fue bastante positivo, y sí les recomiendo considerar estos servicios, especialmente si es la primera vez que en su familia están tomando estos pasos para educación superior. Así que cualquier información que necesiten, por favor, estoy totalmente disponible, y cualquier ayuda que necesiten, a la orden.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Juan. I think that will be helpful for, because a lot of times we do have parents who join on the breakthrough call, or people who consult their parents about the decision. So how did it feel when you, I imagine, checked your email? Is that the way you found out about SIPA, about
Yes.
Colombia? Okay, so how did it feel to check your email and receive that email saying you have been admitted?
So I was actually at work, and that was a big shock. I think I wasn't expecting it on that date. So normally, a lot of the grad schools where we apply to, they have a blog that you can follow their admissions process, and they do tell you a little bit of the timing where the decisions will be released. But I wasn't really clear what specific date Colombia was going to release it's their decisions. And that was, that moment felt joyous. And when you work with The Art of Applying, they tell you who would you share your admissions with in the first place. And I mentioned my parents, and I just called them, and it was a very gratifying moment. And then I shared with The Art of Applying, which is the second person I wrote on my phone.
Makes me very happy.
And that was really wonderful.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you. This has been fantastic. Juan, is there anything else you'd like to say or to share?
I think the other thing I would like to share is that when you're doing the whole application process, keep a lot of positive energy, and do follow the steps that your consultant tells you to do. Do question if you have any questions about what they suggest you to do, but think that these are professionals that are actually helping you with the process. And to me, that was very valuable. So do take as much advantage as you can from everybody who works with you, and whoever your consultant is, whoever your coaching, whoever is going to be helping you, please take advantage of them to the fullest, because that's the reason why they're there for you.
So one also important part of your profile, just as a person and as an applicant, is as a gay person. And talk to us about, was there any concern on your behalf about how to talk about that or whether to talk about that in your application?
Yes, when I was applying to grad schools, I felt that I should know how to navigate my sexual orientation in the application process without making it sound as if they should accept me because of that, but instead showcase that that's just another component of my life. And I've had to be resilient and to really overcome a lot of prejudice throughout my life because of this component, and at a family level and at a professional level. And I just think that it is important for people to know that when you're working with the art of applying, they do help you overcome these difficulties, and they do help you navigate components of being a gay person, for example, as it was in my case. So I would really recommend anybody who has struggles with this topic to reach out to me if they want to talk about it, and to definitely consider working with the art of applying, as a lot of their members are minorities as well, so they can really relate to your experiences.
Yes, yes. And so I would love to hear about just any, I guess you already gave it, but if there's any sort of encouragement you might want to give to somebody who's like LGBTQ, who's wondering, I don't know any other gay people who are at these top schools. I don't know, can I do it? Or especially for people coming from other countries where it's like, I don't know that I want to even put this on paper because I still live in a country where it puts me in danger to even be out.
Yeah, so I would recommend to, first of all, I would tell everybody that their application material remains very confident between the art of applying, the universities you're applying to, and yourself. I myself come from a country where up to 2008, same-sex activity was a crime, and I think that got decriminalized just 11 years ago. So there is still a lot of sentiment against same-sex, problems with sexual orientation, and I just think that people should feel that that's not a component that deters them from applying to top business or policy schools anywhere.
Right, and it's an important part of people's story, but it's not anyone's entire story. And that is an important journey that we help our LGBTQ clients navigate is how much do I want to talk about it in my essay? Because it's not required that it be the cornerstone of your essay, just the same way it's not necessarily the cornerstone of your life or most people's lives. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Were there any hesitations you had about that when you were reaching out to work with us?
I think I was clear that I wanted to talk about my sexual orientation because it definitely had an impact on my entire life. And I think that it was a component that I wanted to incorporate in my application process, just to give the admissions committee a really clear look into what my life is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something people should really consider doing in case they want to share and they want to talk about it. If you don't feel that you're ready to talk about it, then you should definitely not share that part of your life. But I would say that instead of thinking of how other people will perceive your sexual orientation, think of it as how do you feel? In my case, how do I feel as a gay man, and how being gay really is something that pushed me to study what I want to do. So that's a little bit of what people should consider.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan. I know that you sharing your story and all of your guidance and your journey is going to help a lot of people. And this is just the beginning of the next very exciting stage of your life and career. And I'm so happy for you, and I'm so proud of you, Juan.
Thank you, Kenisha, and thank you to the entire Art of Applying team.
Thanks for watching our video. For more videos just like this, make sure you click subscribe. And if you want to work with us on your graduate school applications, visit us at theartofapplying.com or click on the link below in the description.